Anne Frank, page 300. Thursday, May 25th, 1944. Dearest Kitty, Bep's engaged. The news isn't much of a surprise, though none of us are particularly pleased. Burtis may be a nice, steady, athletic young man, but Bep doesn't love him, and to me, that's enough reason to advise her against marrying him. Bep's trying to get ahead in the world, and Burtis is pulling her back. He's a laborer without any interest or any desire to make something of himself, and I don't think that'll make Bep happy. I can understand Bep's wanting to put an end to her indecision. 4 weeks ago she decided to write him off, but then she felt even worse, so she wrote him a letter, and now she's engaged. There are several factors involved in this engagement. First, Bep's sick father, who liked Burtis very much. Second, she's the oldest of the Volscombe girls, and her mother teases her about being an old maid. Third, she's just turned 24, and that matters a great deal to Bep. Mother said it would have been better if Bep had simply had an affair with Burtis. I don't know. I feel sorry for Bep and can understand her loneliness. In any case, they can get married only after the war, since Burtis is in hiding, or at any rate has gone underground. Besides, they don't have a penny to their name and nothing in the way of hope chest. What a sorry prospect for Bep, for whom we all wish the best. I only hope Burtis improves under her influence, or that Bep finds another man, one who knows how to appreciate her. Yours, Anne and Frank. The same day. There's something happening every day. This morning, Mr. Van Hoven was arrested. He was hiding 2 Jews in his house. It's a heavy blow for us, not only because those poor Jews are once again balancing on the edge of an abyss, but also because it's terrible for Mr. Van Hoven. The world's been turned upside down. The most decent people are being sent to concentration camps, prisons, and lonely cells, while the lowest of the low rule over young and old, rich and poor. One gets caught for black marketeering, another for hiding Jews or other unfortunate souls. Unless you're a Nazi, you don't know what's going to happen to you from one day to the next. Mr. Van Hoven is a great loss to us, too. Bep can't possibly lug such huge amounts of potatoes all the way here, nor should she have to, so our only choice is to eat fewer of them. I'll tell you what we have in mind, but it's certainly not going to make life here any more agreeable. Mother says we'll skip breakfast, eat hot cereal and bread for lunch, and fried potatoes for dinner, and if possible, vegetables or lettuce once or twice a week. That's all there is. We're going to be hungry, but nothing's worse than being caught. Yours, Anne and Frank. Friday, May 26, 1944. My dearest Kitty, at long last, I can sit quietly at my table before the crack in the window frame and write you everything I want to say. I feel more miserable than I have in months, even after the break, and I didn't feel so utterly broken inside and out. On the one hand, there's the news about Mr. Van Hoven, the Jewish question, which is discussed in detail by everyone in the house, the invasion, which is so long in coming, the awful food, the tension, the miserable atmosphere, my disappointment in Peter. On the other hand, there's Bep's engagement, the Pentecost reception, the flowers, Miss Kruger's birthday, cakes and stories about cabarets, movies, and concerts. That gap, that enormous gap, is always there. One day we're laughing at the comical side of life and hiding, and the next day, and there are many days, such days, we're frightened, and the fear, tension, and despair can be read on our faces. Miep and Mr. Kruger bear the greatest burden for us, and for all those in hiding. Miep in everything she does, Mr. Kruger through his enormous responsibility for the 8 of us, which is sometimes so overwhelming that he can hardly speak from the pent-up tension and strain. Mr. Kleiman and Bep also take very good care of us, but they're able to put the annex out of their minds, even if it's only for a few hours or a few days. They have their own worries. Mr. Kleiman with his health, and Bep with her engagement, which isn't looking very promising at the moment. But they also have their outings, their visits with friends, their everyday lives as ordinary people. So the tension is sometimes relieved, if only for a short while ours never is, never has been. Not once in the 2 years I've been here. How much longer will this increasingly oppressive, unbearable weight press down on us? The drains are clogged again. We can't run the water, or if we do, only a trickle. We can't flush the toilet, so we have to use a toilet brush, and we've been putting our dirty water into a big earthenware jar. We can manage for today, but what will happen if the plumber can't fix it on his own? The sanitation department can't come until Tuesday. Miep sent us us a raisin bread with Happy Pentecost written on top. It's almost as if she were mocking us, since our moods and cares are far from happy. We've all become more frightened since the Van Hooven business. Once again, you hear shh from all sides, and we're doing everything more quietly. The police forced the door there. They could just as easily do that here, too. What will we do if we're ever... No, I mustn't write that down. But the question won't let itself be pushed to the back of my mind today. On the contrary, all the fear I've ever felt is looming before me in all its horror. I had to go downstairs alone at 8 this evening to use the bathroom. There was no one down there, since they were all listening to the radio. I wanted to be brave, but it was hard. I always feel safer upstairs than in that huge, silent house. When I'm alone with those mysterious muffled sounds from upstairs and the honking of horns in the streets, I have to hurry and remind myself where I am to keep from getting the shivers. Nipa's been acting much nicer towards us since her talk with Father, but I haven't told you about that yet. Meep came up one afternoon all flushed and asked Father straight out if we thought they were infected with the current anti-Semitism. Father was stunned and quickly talked her out of the idea. But most of Meep's suspicion has lingered on. They're doing more errands for us now, and showing more of an interest in our troubles, though we certainly shouldn't bother them with our woes. Oh, they're such good, noble people. I've asked myself again and again whether it wouldn't have been better if we hadn't gone into hiding, if we were dead now and didn't have to go through the misery, especially so that the others could be spared the burden. But we all shrink from this thought. We still love life. We haven't yet forgotten the voice of nature, and we keep hoping for everything. Let something happen soon. Even in air raid, nothing can be more crushing than this anxiety. Let the end come, however cruel. At least then we'll know whether we are to be the victors or the vanquished. Yours, Anne and Frank. Wednesday, May 31st, 1944. Dearest Kitty, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday was too hot to hold my fountain pen, which is why I couldn't write to you. Friday, the drains were clogged. Saturday, they were fixed. Miss Kleiman came for a visit in the afternoon and told us a lot about Jopi. She and Jacko and Marcin are in the same hockey club. Sunday, Bep dropped by to make sure there hadn't been a break-in and stayed for breakfast. Monday, a holiday because of Pentecost. Mr. Geis served as the annex watchman, and Tuesday we were finally allowed to open the windows. We've seldom had a Pentecost weekend that was so beautiful and warm, or maybe hot is a better word. Hot weather is horrible in the annex. To give you an idea of the numerous complaints, I'll briefly describe those sweltering days. Saturday, wonderful, what fantastic weather, we all said in the morning. If only it weren't quite so hot, we said in the afternoon, when the windows had to be shut. Sunday, the heat's unbearable, the butter's melting, there's not a cool spot anywhere in the house. The bread's drying out, the milk's going sour, the windows can't be opened. We poor outcasts are suffocating while everyone else is enjoying their Pentecost, according to Miss Van D. Monday, my feet hurt. I have nothing cool to wear. I can't do the dishes in this heat, grumbling from early in the morning till late at night. It was awful. I can't stand the heat. I'm glad the wind's come up today, but that's the sun still shining. Yours, Anne and Frank. Friday, June 2nd, 1944. Dear Kitty, if you're going to the attic, take an umbrella with you, preferably a large one. This is to protect you from household showers. There's a Dutch proverb, high and dry, safe and sound, but it obviously doesn't apply to wartime guns and to people in hiding in cat box. Moochie's gotten into the habit of relieving herself on some newspapers or between the cracks in the floorboards, so we have good reason to fear the splatters and even worse the stench. The new mortuary in the warehouse has the same problem. Anyone who's ever had a cat that's not housebroken can imagine smells other than pepper and thyme that permeate this house. I also have a brand new prescription for gunfire jitters. When the shooting gets loud, proceed to the nearest wooden staircase, run up and down a few times, making sure to stumble at least once. What with the scratches and the noise of running and falling, you won't even be able to hear the shootings, much less worry about it. Yours truly has put this magic formula to use with great success. Yours, Ian and Frank. Monday, June 5th, 1944. Dearest Kitty, new problems in the annex. A quarrel between Vessel and the Franks over the division of butter capitulation on the part of Dussel, close friendship between the latter and Miss Van D, flirtations, kisses, and friendly little smiles. Dussel is beginning to long for female companionship. The Van Dams don't see why we should bake a spice cake for Mr. Cougar's birthday when we can't have one ourselves. All very petty. Mood upstairs bad. Miss Van D has a cold. Dussel caught with brewer's yeast tablets while we've got none. The Fifth Army has taken Rome. The city neither destroyed nor bombed. Great propaganda for Hitler. Very few potatoes and vegetables. One loaf of bread was moldy. Schmidtke, name of a new warehouse cat. Can't stand Pepper. She sleeps in the cat box and does her business in the wood shavings. Impossible to keep her. Bad weather. Continuous bombings of Basque, Calais, and the west coast of France. No one buying dollars. Gold even less interesting. The bottom of our black money box is in sight. What are we going to live on next month? Yours, Anne and Frank. Tuesday, June 6, 1944. My dearest Kitty, this is D-Day. The BBC announced at 12, this is the day. The invasion has begun. This morning at 8, the British reported heavy bombing of Calais, Boulogne, Le Havre, and Le Cherbourg, as well as Paris to Calais as usual. Further, as precautionary measure for those in the occupied territories, everyone living within a zone of 20 miles from the coast was warned to prepare for bombardments. Where possible, the British will drop pamphlets an hour ahead of time. According to the German news, British paratroopers have landed on the coast of France. British landing crafts are engaged in combat with German naval units, according to the BBC. Conclusion reached by the Annex while breakfasting at 9. This is a trial landing, like the one 2 years ago in Deep. BBC broadcast in German, Dutch, French, and other languages at 10. The invasion has begun. So this is the real invasion. BBC broadcast in German at 11. Speech by Supreme Commander General Dwight Eisenhower. BBC broadcast in English. This is D-Day. General Eisenhower said to the French people, stiff fighting will come now, but after this, the victory. The year 1944 is the year of complete victory. Good luck. BBC broadcast in English at once. 11,000 planes are shuttling back and forth and standing by to land troops and bomb behind enemy lines. 4,000 landing crafts and small boats are continually arriving in the area between Cherbourg and Le Havre. English and American troops are already engaged in heavy combat. Speeches by Gerard, the Prime Minister of Belgium, King Hunk of Norway, de Gaulle of France, the King of England, and last but not least, Churchill. A huge commotion in the Annex. Is this really the beginning of the long-awaited liberation, the liberation we've all talked so much about, which still seems too good, too much of a fairy tale ever to come true? Will this year, 1944, bring us victory? We don't know yet, but where there's hope, there's life. It fills us with fresh courage and makes us strong again. We'll need to be brave to endure the many fears and hardships and the sufferings yet to come. It's now a matter of remaining calm and steadfast, of gritting our teeth and keeping a stiff upper lip. France, Russia.